p.m. The N is the gavel.
Please mute yourself if you are not speaking. Thank you.
I will go, let's see, Brady Bunch and see the first commissioner is Marlene Ibarra. So Commissioner Marlene Ibarra, would you mind leading us in the flag salute?
She's muted. Could Chair, if you'd like to just start.
Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Ibarra. City Clerk, would you kindly call roll?
Chair Gavinia.
Here.
Vice Chair Froberg.
Here.
Commissioner Edry.
Here.
Commissioner Herman.
Here.
Commissioner Navarez.
Here.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra.
Here.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And City Clerk, do we have any changes to the agenda?
There are none.
In that case, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I can second.
If you could state your name when you make a motion or second it. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Melissa. Melissa got first.
Thank you. And who seconded?
Steve Herman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Motion by Commissioner Melissa Ibarra, seconded by Commissioner Herman to approve the agenda. I'll call the roll. Chair Gavinia.
Aye.
Vice Chair Furberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Edry.
Aye.
Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Navarez.
Aye.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra.
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Excellent. Thank you. Now we will take public comment from members of the audience. If you would like to provide public comment via Zoom, please click the raise hand button.
Chair, it looks like we do have a member of the audience. Carol Menke?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, you can speak.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Carol Menke and I live at 4327 Furlong Place. As the owner of 26 housing units, the city has always provided quality housing and maintenance to their citizens because that's what a city is supposed to do, provide quality services to their citizens. Out of those housing units, if approved, the appliance policy would only apply and impact 3 remaining houses that have not been remodeled. All the rest of the houses come with stove, microwave, refrigerator, dishwasher, and washer and dryer. The 50th Street apartments also have these amenities, but they have a common laundry area. Even the privately owned Vernon Village apartments provide a stove, refrigerator, and dishwasher for their tenants and have a common area with washers and dryers. It is important to note that the over-the-stove microwave also provides a fan and ventilation for the stove. If the appliance policy that is being proposed, if it's being proposed as a cost savings measure, then the commission should look at reducing overall costs of the remodels themselves or find a way to reduce the time the properties remain vacant. Either of these options would save the city tens of thousands of dollars, whereas approval of the appliance policy will only provide a nominal cost savings at best. Our policies should be fair and equitable, not providing less to some tenants and more to others based solely on the timing of their remodel. During these challenging times, and given that our economy hasn't been hard hit by this pandemic, we should be looking for ways to increase services to our citizens, not ways to decrease them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
I don't see any other hands raised. Again, if you're an attendee at the meeting and you would like to address the commission, please use the raise your hand button. I think we are okay to proceed with the agenda.
Okay, thank you. We will now go to the consent calendar. All matters on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member of the commission. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does any member of the commission wish to pull the item from the consent calendar? Are there any public comments for the consent calendar? Again, I'd remind you to use the raise hand button. In that case, may I have a motion for consent calendar item number 1?
I'll move, Melissa.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Melissa Ibarra, seconded by Commissioner Edry to approve the consent calendar. I'll call the roll. Chair Gavinia,
Aye.
Vice Chair Froberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Edry,
Aye.
Commissioner Herman,
Aye.
Commissioner Navarez,
Aye.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra,
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we will go to new business.
Item number 2 is city-owned housing appliance policy, and Public Works Director Wall will present the report.
Honorable Chair and members of the Commission, based on the direction the Commission provided at the December meeting, staff recommends the adoption of a policy providing that all city-owned homes have a stove and refrigerator, that these appliances be of mid-range quality and relatively uniform in all units, and that any tenant-owned appliances installed in a residence be subject to pre-approval and inspection by the city. In units where the city is already providing additional appliances, it must continue to do so until there is a change in tenancy or there is a agreement reached with the current tenants. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Wall. Does the commission have any technical questions for staff?
I do. Sorry. I have a quick question. I thank you for the staff report and what we're talking about, but I was thinking about it since our last meeting of, instead of going forward and it's going to only affect 2 houses that need to be remodeled. What about doing a credit to all the houses in Vernon for the microwave, washer, dryer, and to the residents? You give them a credit and let them take over the maintenance on it. For the houses that have dishwashers, we'd be responsible for the dishwasher up until it breaks, and at that point the tenant will be responsible if they want to install their own dishwasher and take responsibility on that, or have us convert it into cabinets. That would be my only recommendation, so it could be unified all throughout, and go that way.
All right. That would require a little bit of research to find out what would be an equitable credit for that exchange. And then also it would need to be voluntary on the part of tenants. If the unit had been rented to the tenant with the appliances already in place, and they're continuing their tenancy, there is the expectation that that not be taken away. In fact, I believe it's a legal requirement that there not be that change made unilaterally. So again, we would need the participation of the tenant in deciding to give up the appliances in a unit that we're already providing them in.
Because the unfortunate thing fortunate for us, but unfortunate thing is that nobody leaves Vernon unless, you outgrow it, or unfortunately you die, not to be mean, but that's what happens.
So going forward, you know, we had great conversation last time, but doing this unilaterally, revising it somehow and doing it that way.
Shouldn't this be for new tenants moving in, not our current tenants? Our current tenants, shouldn't we still continue to service them?
Is that a question for me or?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, so because we had provided the appliances when somebody moved in, and because the lease states that the appliances are the property of the city, we're on the hook for the maintenance of existing appliances. Now, we could negotiate with our existing tenants to provide a credit in exchange for the maintenance responsibility of the appliances, but still that would require both parties agreeing to that. We could not unilaterally tell an existing tenant, this is how it is. You know, you no longer have appliances. So.
Right, it's only for the new tenants on the 2 properties that are currently vacant, right, moving forward?
Yes, as the policy is presented right now, yes.
Okay.
Any other technical questions for staff?
I'll jump in with one. I assume that our rental agreements with the tenants already state that the appliances are provided, and it would require a change to the agreement with the tenant as well. It's a contractual obligation at this point, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So if we renew a lease with an existing tenant, at that time we could have that be a condition of the renewed lease, that the appliances become their responsibility, with the exception of the stove and refrigerator and dishwasher until it's broken down.
But the majority of the leases right now are month to month. So why would there be a difference at that point?
At the point of negotiating a new lease? So in a new lease, we could change the conditions, the terms of the lease.
I know, but at this point, month to month, since a lot of the majority of the residents are month to month at this time, aren't we allowed to do that as of the 1st? It's not a lease, it's a month to month. You have some people that are on a lease because they just currently moved in within the last year. And I don't know how many have renewed their lease that have moved in the year before. So going forward, you have the majority of the housing stock in Vernon on month to month lease. Is that correct?
Yes, the majority of our tenants are on a month-to-month lease. The month-to-month lease carries the provisions of the original 12-month lease that they entered into with us, and so we would have to enter into a new lease or have some other side agreement about the appliances. So that's something that I can research. If there's some sort of rebate we might want to provide to the tenants to induce them into giving up appliance maintenance, that have ownership of the appliances, that kind of thing.
I'd like to see that, because if you're telling me that it's illegal to change in the middle of the lease, that's fine. But if we're on month to month, how does that change us? You know, if we can give them a credit for it and go forward, you know, in the long run, it's going to save us over time. We did have a resident speak about saving money on the remodel on the pricing on the remodels. That's a council decision. That's not a housing decision. So that would have to just go up to council and have them revise that, because it's a big cost. But as for the maintenance of the appliances and in keeping appliances in there, I would like that information of what credit can we give these residents to get out of that part of the lease.
So if I may, could that be a recommendation that you make for staff to bring back a program for review by the Housing Commission on disposition of existing appliances or something to that effect, and that the commission adopt the policy either as is or however you would like to amend it at this meeting? as the current item?
You see, my concern is approving it after reading the staff report and looking at what it's going to entitle. It's only 2 houses that it's going to affect. You know, I'm looking at something that's overall all units. So, you know, if we approve it this way, it's only going to affect the first 2 houses, which shouldn't be a big deal because they're just getting remodeled. But, you know, the rebate, I want to see that option on the rebate for everybody else. Give everybody a credit so that they don't, you know, they can get some money back. We could do a credit towards the rent. I want to know what that credit it would be. So I don't mind kicking it back, but I wouldn't want to approve this without that information.
And just to clarify, the credit would be because they would then waive future maintenance on these extra appliances?
It would be their appliances at that point. There, a lot of the majority of the appliances are about 10 years old.
And just to clarify, for any existing tenants, even if they're on month to month, we couldn't make a unilateral change. Just to echo what Dan was saying, it would have to be a negotiated change to the terms of the lease if they currently have the appliances and we currently have ownership and maintenance obligations. So it would have to be a case-by-case agreement on their part to relinquish that in exchange for something.
Because I don't think it's going to be fair to just do it to two houses while everybody else is getting the maintenance on everything else. I'd rather see it go all unilateral.
I just don't think we can legally do that. You know, the tenants that are grandfathered in are grandfathered in, and then all prospective tenants, you know, would fall under this new policy, which it looks like is currently 2. It'll eventually be everyone because, like you said, you know, a tenant can only be a tenant until they pass away at the extreme, you know, end of that. So at some point, 40 years from now, everyone will only have a stove and a refrigerator. But until then, you know, my question, or I guess what I have rattling around in mind is, you know, Ms. Menke's commentary as to equitable application of these policies. I'm struggling to understand how it would be inequitable if all current tenants would be unaffected ultimately, unless they negotiated, you know, that they wanted to give the appliances back. But unless I'm misunderstanding something, every existing tenant is in the same position tomorrow as they are today. Is that right, City Council? Council with a COUNSEL.
Oh, sorry. Was that a question?
No.
I was like, wrong meeting.
Council as in counselor.
As to the substance of it, I think it would affect 3 units. Is that correct, Dan?
Yes, two units, certainly. 2 units do not have any appliances at all provided by the city. And let me get the list.
But those 2 or 3 units are vacant and not occupied by a tenant, right? So we're not.
No, one of the units is occupied by a tenant and one is not.
Okay, so then that one tenant would be sort of the one person affected in a way, because they would be an existing tenant who is subject to the new policy versus every other existing tenant who is not subject to the new policy. Is there a way that we could specifically exclude that one tenant from the application of this policy in the interest of equitable application, and then it just goes forward to all new tenants equally?
If that's the direction from the commission.
I was asking from a legal perspective. Again, sorry, without Zoom, I can't like look at you, Zaina. And
No problem. Yeah, there's no legal issue prohibiting the commission from doing that. The only legal restriction would be making a unilateral change to existing lease terms. So apart from that, the commission has full authority to decide on a go forward what the appliance policy will be.
So that's, to me, that seems like an equitable application of the policy. If all existing tenants are left in the same position that they were in and all new tenants, which I see as a separate, you have two classes, existing tenants, new tenants. The new tenant class is left whole. The existing tenant class is left whole, and they're basically bucketed into their prospective classes. What does the rest of the commission think about that approach?
It sounds fair. Keeping it.
This is Froberg. I think Gavina's idea is right now sounds good. The two classes, and each side is kept whole.
Okay, so I think if we have no more technical questions for staff, we would open for public comment again. So are there any public comments? And again, just hit that raise hand button.
It looks like Carol Menke is raising her hand.
Hello, thank you. First of all, Mr. Gavina, I would like to thank you for getting my logic on that. But there is one other remodeled house that I need to remind the commission about, and that's Luz Martinez. So we just need to add her in that class. Her house has never been remodeled. So it's Melissa's old house, Diane's house, and Luz Martinez. I mean, it's simple as that. So two are occupied and one is vacant. And I was just asking for an equitable solution. It looks like you found it. So thank you so much.
And Director Wall, that was the third house that was alluded to, I assume?
I do not, I'm of the understanding that all the houses on Fruitland have a full complement of appliances, with the exception of the newly remodeled house, which does not have a washer and dryer. And so Ms. Martinez's house, I believe, has a full, according to my records, has a full complement of appliances currently. That's something that I guess if that's the direction the commission is going into,
yeah, and I think what Councilmember Menke was saying is that Luz Martinez's house has not been remodeled. It does have the appliances, but it's one of the houses that hasn't been remodeled.
Okay, so but that's a separate.
But I would check on that because I thought the houses that weren't remodeled never got appliances.
Yeah, that's again, my records for Fruitland are showing that all the homes there have a full complement of appliances. I will confirm that, and if this is the direction that the commission is going, perhaps the statement could be something to the effect of that currently occupied homes will have the full range of appliances, and that going forward, the city will only provide washer and refrigerator and stove.
Okay, are there any additional public comments? Sorry, I don't want to get sidetracked on that.
Don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay. Yeah, so I believe that's the best way to go forward is with an amended policy that just clarifies existing tenants will be left in the same position that they were in with the full suite of appliances. Prospective tenants from this day forward are subject to this policy with the restricted suite of appliances. Silence of acceptance.
Do you need a motion for what Frank is? Or was that your motion? Sorry.
I believe I do need a motion to that effect.
Okay, I will motion what Frank just mentioned.
And I will second. Commissioner Navarre is second.
Lisa, you're muted.
Muted.
Sorry, I was just trying to pull up the policy to make sure I knew what was changing, as opposed to just what Frank just said.
It might be a little more clear if you clarified.
Yeah, I unfortunately have to switch to a different, hold on one second, I'm trying to get there. And Dan or Zaina, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. We would probably just want to add something. Sorry, it's hard to do this on the fly.
Of course. It looks like maybe under number 3, right? In units where the city has provided additional appliances, or where, you know, an existing tenant has tenants, or where there's an existing tenancy, the city must continue to provide and maintain these appliances until there's a change in tenancy. Probably something to that effect.
You could add it to the preamble, making clear that it's only applicable to new tenants. It does not apply to currently occupied homes or current tenants.
Zaina, if you're good with correcting that after, I'm okay.
Mhm.
So we had a motion by Commissioner Melissa Ibarra and second by, I'm sorry, who seconded that motion?
Commissioner Navarez.
Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Navarez to approve the policy as amended to reflect that existing tenants will receive the full suite or retain the full suite of appliances, and new tenants will only get the refrigerator and stove. Is that right? Did I remember that right?
That is correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll call the roll. Sorry, Chair Cavina.
Aye.
Vice Chair Froberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Edry.
Aye.
Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Commissioner Navarez.
Aye.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra.
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you. Now we will go to oral reports.
Alex, if you could share the screen so I can just announce the bulky item pickup event.
Okay, I'll do it right now.
And while he's doing that, if anyone else has announcements.
Sure, I would, so the question about Ms. Martinez's appliances, while she does have appliances in her home, they are not city provided. I just received confirmation from my staff on that.
Thank you. So on the screen, you can hopefully see we are having a bulk item pickup event on January 28th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. This information will be presented to or provided to all of the residents so that they are aware of it as well. We just wanted to share it with you here so that you could spread the word and let everybody know.
All right, excellent. Any further reports from commission members or staff? Seems like no. So without any further business, I adjourn this meeting at 6:35 p.m.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
All right.
Happy
Good
New
night.
Year.